with that clean...
ESPN and the Professional Bowlers Association present the $55,000 St. Clair PBA Senior Open. Here's a rundown of tonight's finalists. John Hricsina, the current PBA Senior Player of the Year, will open up championship round play against Gus Marsala of Maryland Heights, Missouri, who is making his first ever appearance on national television. Also making his initial Senior Tour Championship round showing is PBA Hall of Famer Don Johnson. Last week's Hammond Open winner Mickey Spiezio will be trying to make it 2 in a row, while Adam Toney of Oak Hill, West Virginia, after averaging .223 this week, will shoot for his first title from the top seed position. Welcome to beautiful St. Clair Bowl, located in O'Fallon, Illinois, for tonight's championship round finals of the $55,000 St. Clair PBA Senior Open. Hi, everybody. I'm Denny Schreiner, and welcome to St. Clair Bowl for the rejuvenation of a wonderful PBA career. Don Coco Johnson will be making his first appearance in the championship round since 1978 here this evening. I know you went head-to-head with him many times, Michael, on the PBA National Tour, and it's nice to see Coco back in the top 5.
He's been a tremendous competitor over the years. He won 26 national titles. He won the Firestone Tournament of Champions twice. He was PBA Player of the Year. Then he had a nerve injury to his thumb, and his hand release was never quite the same. He says now, Denny, that he has a different drilling. He's getting that thumb out real quick. He's learned a little bit about weights, and he could be a threat here tonight.
Speaking of threats, Mickey Spiezio, our number 2 qualifier, will try and make it 2 in a row here tonight.
Well, Mickey went through 4 opponents last week. This week, he only has to go through 2, so it should be twice as easy.
All right, and we have 2 players who have never appeared on national television, including our top seed.
Right. In the number 4 position, Gus Marsala is going to be a nervous participant. And our tournament leader, Adam Toney, it's his first televised appearance also. He has some knee problem. He'll be bowling in pain, but he only has to bowl 1 game, Dennis.
And rounding out the top 5, the current Player of the Year, John Hricsina. So it should be a good telecast. Stay tuned. We'll be back with match number 1 momentarily. The championship round finals of the $55,000 St. Clair PBA Senior Open are being brought to you by Budweiser, the king of beers with that clean, crisp, cold taste. Nothing beats a Bud. By Midas for mufflers, brakes, and shocks. Nobody beats Midas. Nobody. And by Tinactin. Get the medicine that acts tough. Tough-actin Tinactin. And when we come back to St. Clair Bowl, it'll be John Hricsina and Gus Marsala in the opening match.
Nothing beats a winning team. Pushing hard, reaching for that dream. Nothing beats clean, crisp and cold. Got the king of beers, you're on a roll. Nothing beats our best Budweiser.
See Kenny Bernstein and his Budweiser King top fuel dragster at these upcoming NHRA national events.
Nothing beats a Bud.
How do I know where to get my brakes done right?
Come to Midas. You get a lot of value for the price, and you get something else. Peace of mind. Knowing you get a thorough inspection by Midas-trained experts and a written estimate up front. Knowing every brake shoe and pad is guaranteed for as long as you own your car, and knowing the job will be done right. That's why more people come to us for brakes, knowing that nobody beats Midas. Nobody.
A mild case of athlete's foot is one thing. A really tough case, that's something else. The irritating itch, the painful cracking, the burning. That's when you want a medicine that acts tough. Tough-actin Tinactin. Tinactin cures even the tough cases of athlete's foot fungus. And Tinactin's clinically proven. No wonder it's the antifungal most recommended by pharmacists. So when you've got a tough case of athlete's foot, get the medicine that acts tough. Tough-actin Tinactin.
You call Pizza Hut?
Yep.
Good thing they deliver.
Yep.
Though if Pizza Hut didn't deliver, I guess we could call another place.
What other place?
Why are people changing to Pizza Hut delivery? Because now they can get America's favorite pan pizza loaded with toppings and 2 layers of cheese delivered right to their door.
Time for a game? No thanks. Maybe some people just don't like Domino's anymore.
Guess not.
Pizza Hut delivery, banging it ring.
And we're located in O'Fallon, Illinois this evening. It's St. Clair Bowl. for the St. Clair PBA Senior Open. Gus Marsala making his first shot on national television.
And that heart's got to be pounding a little bit right now, Dennis.
From a nearby St. Louis suburb, first shot comes out, and no problem whatsoever on lane 15.
Boy, did he come out of that smooth, and did you watch the ball at the end? It just kind of rolled out at the end. The lanes are really, when you throw it wide, hooking excessively tonight, Dennis, and we are going to see several shots roll out.
Let's see if this one rolls out. It will go wide, and it will come back. Pocket hit for Hricsina, who opens with a strike, our championship round pair, 15 and 16.
And John, who is the senior PBA player of the year, probably hooks it more than anybody on the senior tour. He's trying to go right around this oil. He is so strong. Watch him here. Now watch this short backswing and the cupped wrist. Right in trigger position here. Nice long slide. And then he lifts it out on the lane and goes around the ball, hooks it tremendously, but leaves the soft 10.
Playing this kind of an angle, Mike, any danger of the pocket 7-10?
Definitely, Danny. You come in here, you can send that 5 right in front of the 7 and get the 10-pin having company.
John kind of smiled and said, Denny, is this ball too bright to be used on the telecast this evening? I said, no, as long as it works, it doesn't bother us. I said, but if you're throwing that ball for your strike ball later on, then we'll know you're in trouble.
He threw it a few times in practice, and it struck, I'll tell you.
Just goes to show you when you're playing well, you can strike with just about anything. First appearance for the senior tour in this area, and the fans have turned out all week long. Really enjoyed the senior players. Gus with a pretty good shot, shakes up the 5-pin, and he opens with a double.
Gus is a very deliberate player with a controlled arm swing, but I really like his follow-through. He goes by that adage, you know, that trust is a must. You know, he really trusts the shot. Watch his delivery here. 5-step player. Pushes it out now. The ball right in time. Controls that swing. Shoulder high backswing. Nice one. Now watch the follow through. Good position right there. Has 2 in a row.
Joined the PBA Tour way back in 1975. Went all the way to about the 3 board there. Tripped out the 4. The 9 remains.
And again, what saved him there was that ball definitely rolled out at the 1-3 pocket, and he got that 4-pin out of there.
When you speak of the ball rolling out, Michael, explain that.
Well, the ball will skid a certain distance down the lane, then turn on its axis, called precession, and then go into a roll. But when the lane is really dry, it will actually stop rolling and go back the other way. Move to the right if you're a right-hander. Stop going from right to left. And the lanes are dry at the back end of the lane, and that's what Gus's ball was doing. There's the first ball for Gus. And that ball, we see it just stopping right at the pocket. The 4 and the 9 is there, and the 2-pin just gives a little gentle kiss to the 4, and it falls over.
No rollout in that shot, and an unfortunate break. The 5-pin danced toward the 7 and kind of got blocked before it got there.
Well, that's that same hit that you can leave the pocket 7-10 on, Denny, and he got the 10 out with no trouble, but not enough power to knock out that 7-pin.
Do you think that John is playing the lanes properly and trying to hook the ball as much as he is, or maybe go to a harder surface ball and play him a little tighter?
It's a matter of personal preference. If it were me, or I shouldn't say me, a lot of players would opt to go to a harder ball and move right into the dry area. John's preference is to stay left and to just circle and try and go around the oil with this softer ball that hooks more. Soft speed.
Another good shot, another pocket hit, and yet another 10-pin.
And again, he'll use this, did you call that orange?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of a pink orange. It's a blur when it goes down the lane when he throws it at the spares.
Pumpkin. Looks like he's throwing a pumpkin, doesn't it? Ball doesn't hit like one, though.
It's hitting like a pumpkin right now, though.
So he's up by 11. Marsala, that is. And, boy, he'd love to win this opening match against Hricsina and get loosened up a little bit.
Smooth delivery. Well, you never know as his wife Carol applauds.
She has to be excited here this evening. Well, he's performing beautifully in the opening appearance.
It's like he was a veteran of many, many years of bowling on television. There we see difference 11 pins. Gus can increase it to 21 with one more strike. Smooth again.
Needs the break. Oh, look at that 10-pin wiggle around the oohs and the ahs from the audience, but it doesn't help.
Well, it looked like a pin got in the way of the head pin coming back off the sideboard to knock out the 10. Watch the head pin. Goes to the sideboard. The 6-pin lays in the channel here. And that pin just didn't have enough power to get that.
Did you see how much the ball deflected, though? That kind of surprised me. And so does that as Marsala opens, missing the 10-pin, missing a 1-pin spare, and just so happens to be Mike Durbin's average building tip here this evening, how to convert those 1-pin spares. Boy, when you do something like that in a championship round match, it normally spells trouble somewhere along the way. Hricsina jumps up, throws the strike, and watch. This will be a double before you know it.
It's just something about the adrenaline in your opponent. When he sees you open like that, it brings out the killer instinct in all of these guys, especially with a senior PBA player of the year.
So instead of Gus, if he had doubled leading by 21, now he trails by 1, and it could be 11 if John strikes here.
How quick it turns around, huh, Denny? He's purposely throwing slower on this lane. And there's the result.
Shakes him up, throws the double, and now leads by 11. And when we come back, we'll show you more of match number 1. But before we get back, let's update you on those PBA Senior Tour average leaders.
Why are more people depending on oil heat?
We have a high-efficiency oil-fired warm air furnace. Our total heating cost for the past year was $250. That's only $20.83 a month.
We decided to go with oil heat because it's warmer, safer, and cleaner than other heat sources.
With my wife and kids taking showers in beds, it's nice to know with oil heat I'll get a hot shower too. And I don't have to chop wood or carry coal like my neighbors.
Oil heat. Depend on it. Call the Oil Heat Council of Lancaster County for more information.
Hey, buddy, want to make $1 million the easy way? You could step into the ring. You could dabble in junk bonds. Or you could play the HBO TV Guide Quest for the Best game. Play daily in TV Guide and nightly on HBO. So hold on to that game card for your daily chance to win over 8,000 cash prizes. Play the HBO TV Guide Quest for the Best game and make your first million the easy way.
It will seem like the shootout at the OK Corral. Top bowlers duel in the Tucson Open. The pins start flying Saturday afternoon at 2 Eastern, live on ESPN.
Good news is Marsala picked up the 10-pin at this attempt. He struck in the 6th while we were away, and now Hricsina is up in the 7th, working on a double, leading by 11.
And again, he's using more speed on lane 16, throwing softer on 15. Circled that one a little bit more and knocked that 10-pin right out of there.
What an advantage.
Well, when it's striking it is. I mean, John is versatile enough as he calls for a re-rack that he can hook it around the oil, or if he wants to play an oil line and go straighter, he can do that too. He's an amazingly talented bowler.
And looking for a victory here in 1991.
He's got a number of seconds already as a senior player. Second place finishes, I mean.
Mm-hmm. Trying to keep the string alive, and he does. So Hricsina strings together 4 consecutive strikes from the 5th through the 8th and takes a commanding 31-pin advantage.
And now Gus is into that position where he has to strike to stay in the match. The best that Gus can get right now is 227 if he strikes all the way out. John going to 228 pace, so Gus is still alive, but just barely breathing.
A little quick with the feet. Ball slides by the pocket, and time is running out at this stage, and you can see the disappointment written all over Gus's face. The 10-pin that he missed in the 5th really kind of threw this match around. Yeah.
Right. As you say, if he'd have struck there, 30 more pins on his score. At the 258. Nice conversion. Very nice. But doesn't look like it's going to be enough to any.
Well, what goes through your mind is, well, you can make that 258, and that's a very, very tough spare, and yet you missed the 10 pin.
Well, I've missed 10 pins in crucial situations too, Denny.
Sure, everybody has. I think that's what we always question, though. It's funny because I had talked to Mark Roth yesterday and asked him what he felt the key was to him winning so many big matches through the years, and he said, I'll tell you, championship round, I just tried to make sure I didn't ever open. I wanted to make people beat me. I didn't want to give them anything in terms of missing spares, and he obviously did a pretty good job of that through the years.
Well, 33 national titles, but his record on television really wasn't that good. Guys always seemed to pump up against Mark Roth and Earl Anthony and Marshall Holman.
Sure, they bring their A game, and then some. Hricsina working on a 4-bagger, make it 5, and Susan is very happy about what's transpired here thus far in game number 1. Possible 258.
And he's found a way to strike if he keeps it up. Obviously, he picked the right ball. My adjustment wouldn't have been the right one. Out and around, and knocks out that 10 pin.
Terry looks very good at this point, as this match is over and done with. Gus Marsala will have to be happy with 5th place this week, and his first ever appearance, I thought he bowled very nicely.
And he was anxious to get up there and bowl that 10th frame, and John kind of said, being the veteran on TV, said, no, Gus, I got to finish out first here.
Hold on just a minute. I'll be through here momentarily.
As I throw a couple more strikes to shoot 250.
Nice start for Hricsina, who doesn't seem to be too affected thus far. I think he's been a little disappointed in how he has played in the championship round over the last year.
Well, he keeps talking that the least his opponents have started out with him is a turkey, and Gus only started out with a double here, so he figured he had one right away.
That's can be very demoralizing. Did you ever go through a stretch like that on the national tour when people just seem to shoot big numbers at you?
I once shot 268 against Guppy Troop and couldn't win.
Oh, jeez. Where was that?
That was in Fresno. That was the highest scoring show in the history of the PBA.
Cedar Lanes.
Yes, right.
So 258 for Hricsina, plenty enough to move on to game number 2.
Nice shot.
Oh, beautiful shot. Represented himself rather nicely here this evening, but too little, too late for Gus Marsala. We'll come back with Mike Durbin's Average Builder and, of course, more bowling here from St. Clair Bowl in O'Fallon, Illinois, right after these messages.
Let's say buenos dias. Good breakfast and tortillas. Come on, vamos. Let's go. McDonald's is so close.
McDonald's introduces the breakfast burrito.
Scrambled eggs, get the egg, man. Sausage, onions, and tomatoes. Don't forget the cheese. Don't forget the cheese.
Only 99 cents each.
McDonald's today.
The breakfast burrito. Only 99 cents each at McDonald's today.
HBO's Dream On presents tips for the 90s. Good nutrition is essential.
The wine is for now. The oil's for later.
Be open to new relationships.
Excuse me, aren't you Eddie Charles?
Always dress for success.
I could be naked and in your office in 5 minutes.
Parents should be open and honest.
Can't we just give him some book with lots of pictures or something?
Life and love in the 90s on Dream On.
Have a nice day.
Only on HBO.
This is brought to you by Pizza Hut, home of the incredible Picnic Pairs deal. Pizza Hut, making it great.
For tonight's Average Builder, I thought I'd like to look at how to convert single pin spares. You know, for the average amateur bowler, nothing strikes more fear into their hearts than to shoot one single pin at the end of the lane 60 feet away. But really, a single pin spare is far easier to make than a group of pins. Let me show you why. Here we have a single pin at the end of the lane. What we have in reality to make that spare is from this half of the ball where it's rolling to this half of the ball. And if you measure that, that's about 13 inches, which is a large area. But try and think of it in a different light. If I measure from this side of the ball to this side of the ball, it's about 22 inches. That means that if I can put the ball in that 22-inch corridor, I'm going to make the spare. Keep in mind that the lane is only 42 inches wide, so that's over half the lane. Let me show you now just how easy it really is. I'm going to shoot the 5-pin, which is the easiest single-pin spare on the lane. Oh, well, nobody's perfect. You be sure and join us Saturday, July 13th in Tucson, Arizona, 2 o'clock Eastern Time, where we'll have another average builder. In the meantime, I got to look up my local PBA pro.
Mike Durbin, the only player in the history ever to miss the 5-pin on national television. Hricsina and Don Johnson would miss. Of course, they're coming up next.
You call Pizza Hut?
Yep.
Good thing they deliver.
Yep.
Though if Pizza Hut didn't deliver, I guess we could call that other place.
What other place?
Why are people changing to Pizza Hut delivery? Because now they can get America's favorite pan pizza, loaded with toppings and 2 layers of cheese, delivered right to their door.
Time for a game? No thanks. Maybe some people just don't like Domino's anymore.
Guess not.
Pizza Hut delivery, and it is great.
To get rid of her gray, my wife can spend 40 minutes. But I discovered the 5-minute hair coloring.
The revolutionary discovery called Just for Men, from the leader in men's hair coloring. Simply apply Just for Men, and in 5 minutes, shampoo out.
Gray is blended away. The look of my natural color is back in 5 minutes. That was me, and it won't fade or wash out.
My hair takes forever, but you look great in just 5 minutes.
The look of your natural color in just 5 minutes. With Just for Men.
If it happens in baseball, you'll see it on ESPN.
There he goes. He leaves. He makes the catch.
See Tuesday night doubleheaders, Wednesday night excitement, Friday night twin bills, and exclusive Sunday night action. Ruben Sierra leads the Texas Rangers stampede through the AL West. Joe Carter pilots the high-flying first-place Blue Jays. The Rangers beat the Blue Jays live at 8 Eastern on ESPN Sunday Night Baseball.
And welcome back to match number 2 from O'Fallon, Illinois, as John Hricsina disposed of Gus Marsala in game number 1, 258-203, the final. Hricsina comes out against Don Johnson, picks up right where he left off with a strike in the first frame on lane 15.
Yeah, would he finish 8 in a row the last game and just continue striking this game?
Oh, I turned back the hands of time a little bit here for Don Johnson. 1978, his last appearance on national television. Truly one of the greats of all time.
And he was great in the clutch and great on television. He had tremendous performances.
Comes out, light hit, needs a strike, and gets it. That'll loosen up the arm swing.
Well, Coco was always the type that was a fidgety type player. He was nervous. He had a little mannerisms here and there. But when it came time to throw the shot, he could always respond.
Match I'll never, ever forget. I was working across the street as a busboy at Ballin's Diner. The day that he shot .299 at the Firestone, I had the little television in the back. I went crazy. What a great match. Who knows? May see it again as he opens with a double here in his first appearance.
You remember who he beat?
Sure I do. Dick Ricker, shot .268.
You know who Ricker beat the game before?
Well, the guy that missed the 5-pin a couple of minutes ago.
That's why he lost. Good night to 5-pin.
That was a tremendous show, wasn't it? Ooh, my. That must have been fun for you just watching, huh? Soft hit. Hricsina leaves
the 10-pin.
All right.
Every shot he's had in the pocket. He finished the last game with 8 and started here with 9. He was going for an Andy Verapapa.
Which is 12 in a row in any game, in any bowling center, in any practice.
Any time.
Right.
Just 12 in a row.
I completely agree with him. Hard and straight at the 10. Don Johnson leads by 10.
Don Johnson using a brand new ball here, it looks like, for the television show. He's had 5 different balls drilled up this week. Ron Hoppe, another senior player out here, has changed his weights and changed the pitch in his thumb a little bit to enable him to feel better about how his ball is rolling. Is he going to fall?
Boy, oh boy, what do you have to do to the 7-pin to finally get it to drop?
Well, remember, he started the last game like this and just took an error on his opponent's part for him to get going. So he's got the pocket down. It's just a matter of whether he's going to knock down 10 or 9 or what.
The 11 pins, now the lead for Don Johnson, who spends the majority of his time when he's not on the senior tour out in Las Vegas.
At a place called Arizona Charlie's. He's an instructor there. He's been there for the last 16 years.
Loose swing. Needs the reaction. The wall hit, and it doesn't quite respond as he leaves the 7-pin.
And many times with a brand new ball like this that's shiny, it doesn't quite bite the lane as much as a ball that's been tracked in, and that's what's happening with Don. I think actually he's getting just a little bit too much skid with this ball right now.
Completely different approach. Don going with the polished ball, a little straighter up than Adam, and John Hricsina trying to circle it with a softer ball.
Well, it's a different philosophy. 5-step player. The thing to notice here, Denny, is you watch him step. Watch how quickly he gets the ball into the swing. There's the first step. Now he pushes it out. Straight arm swing. It's into the swing already. Watch how quickly it's into the backswing. It's at the peak now, and he has to catch up. And the nice long slide. Watch the follow-through. Went in and then back out. Not his best follow-through. Same thing again. That follow-through in and out. Yesterday, he wasn't going in. It was just straight through and out to the right. And here's the normal speed of Coco in his approach.
Well, you've always told me when the arm goes left, the ball's going to end up going right.
And the 2-5 is what he left.
Picks it up. And the match now stands at 8 pins. Hricsina trailing at this stage.
See, what that tells me in Coco's mind is he doesn't feel that he can trust that ball to the right and it's going to come back, so he's trying to help it in there.
And the more the help you give it, the worse it gets.
It is. You got it.
Meanwhile, Hricsina goes out, circles it, comes back with an X. He'd like to double and take the lead.
See, you watch the difference in the two follow-throughs. John's goes to the right because he knows when he throws that ball right, it's coming back. He's trusting it all the way. So even though he's trailing in this match, I think the advantage is with Hricsina right now because he's just confident in how he plays in the lanes. I don't think Don Johnson is. See that follow-through? Ooh. Just gotten some bad breaks there, Denny. 10 pins, 7 pins, a couple of 7 pins. Light hits just not carrying. They could carry.
Well, he's yet to miss the pocket now in a game and a half, so he's locked in terms of feeling free, and I think he's got a pretty good approach to what he wants to do game plan-wise on this championship round pair. Now it's a question of carry, which is usually what it comes down to.
Well, it's easy to knock down 9 out here, but 10 sometimes is more difficult.
Well, let's see if Don Johnson can adjust the arm swing or whatever he needs to do to get a little more of a solid pocket hit. Well, see, that one went a little to the right, and there was a better reaction.
Slightly better, but it's still not biting the lane as much as the ball you used yesterday. It's hitting the pocket, and again, if we'd see a replay of that, you'd see that ball you talked about, Marsala's ball deflecting to the right. That ball deflected quite a bit to the right, too.
Well, Coco reaches into the bag for perhaps another answer, although he will shoot the spare with this ball.
No trouble with the 10-pin. Here's where we watch. Watch this ball deflect to the right. See how much it deflects? It barely got the 5-pin out. He almost let the 5-10. That's how much that ball deflected.
Mopping down a little bit. Warm out there on the championship round pair, especially when you haven't been there in 13 years. Johnson leads by 7 at the halfway point. Light again, 2-4-5, and the 4-pin finally falls, so he stares at the 2-5 for the second consecutive time.
He's hanging on. That lead's getting smaller and smaller frame by frame there. made the spare back in the fourth frame, so he shouldn't have any trouble making it now. Although, whenever you got two of them up there instead of one, it's more difficult.
Don won 12 of his last 14 matches. Qualify for the telecast. Picks off the 2 and the 5 one more time. And we'll take a break here just past the midway point and take a look at how they've stacked up earnings-wise here on the PBA Senior Tour.
We say no to flimsy. So first of all, we start with a heart of solid brass, which gives Price Pfister faucets every advantage. Solid brass is favored by people in the know, since it's far stronger and lasts longer. Yet our affordability never fails to surprise. So look into and under a Price Pfister, a fabulous faucet with a funny name.
Burger King introduces 3 delicious international chicken sandwiches. The Italian way, the French way, the American way. The international chicken sandwich for a limited time at Burger King. Your way, right away.
Tomorrow morning, experience a new high. Introducing Mountain Fresh Dial with a scent so big, so bold, so bracing, it's right up there with your peak experiences. New Mountain Fresh Dial.
And while we were away, John Hricsina struck in the 6th, left the 4-pin in the 7th, and the match stands at +5 for Don Johnson.
Switch balls, Denny.
Ball climbed up a little bit. Still a very light hit. Don has yet to really throw a flush strike. And earlier this evening, I asked him if he was more nervous about appearing in the championship round or when he watched his son win the Memorial Open earlier this year.
Well, there's no doubt I'll probably be nervous, but when Jimmy won the Brunswick World Open, that was the greatest day of my life. I'll tell you what, well, when he pointed that camera and said, "That's for you, Dad," I started crying, I'll have to admit, and I'm not ashamed to admit that. That was the greatest day of my life when Jimmy won.
And Coco comes back with a solid double, so he used that commercial break to switch balls.
Well, you can see that ball wants to finish more. And in your mind, when you know that you can throw it to the right and it's going to come back, it just makes you throw it better. You don't steer it.
Lead is 15. Hricsina, who really hasn't had much luck thus far in this match, needs to start striking. And he does with an X on 15.
And he has to strike on lane 15 right now. Has no strikes on this lane this game except for the first frame. And no time to wait. Down 15, can cut it to 5 with one here.
John with a possible 229 if he would strike out from the 9th frame. Don Johnson, though, could shoot 244.
John usually responds well in these kinds of situations.
Plenty of lift. Excellent shot. Couldn't have been any better.
That's one reason why he's such a great bowler. In the position round last night, he left a 2-4-10. Switch balls, so that orange ball made it lickety-split. I mean, he just, in pressure situations, he does it. So does this man, though.
Oh, he's down on one knee, and he asked for a strike and got it. Don Coco Johnson with a 3-bagger.
And you see the difference in the follow-through, the difference in the confidence. He's a different bowler with this ball. And of course, we all are. I mean, it's not just, when you don't trust that ball's going to come back, you steer it up there.
Made the adjustment in the 7th frame, and since that time has thrown 3 in a row.
And can lock this game up with one more strike here in the 10th frame. Ooh, he threw it nice, too, Danny.
Tough break. Now he'll just have to pick up the 10, get as many as possible, and keep his fingers crossed.
Switches to another ball to make the spare, one that's a little lower surface friction, so that it will go straighter, and he can throw right at the 10-pin. No mistakes now. Very solid game after 14 years without being on television. Comes right in there, a clean game with a strike here. It's 223. Remains to be seen whether it's going to be enough.
Hair's a little thinner, perhaps a little gray, but
But the heart's the same.
Oh, I'm going to tell you. You don't forget. Just have to kick-start it a little bit. He throws some shots down the stretch or what?
Since he switched that other ball.
Oh, boy. John Hricsina takes a good look at the scoreboard as Rich Weber shows him what the tally is. Don Johnson with 223. Meanwhile, Hricsina needs 2 strikes and some count.
And takes a re-rec.
This has been the better of the 2 lanes for him, lane 16.
He struck him 4th, 6th, and 8th right here. Now he needs one in the 11th, 10th, and 11th. A lot of lift. Perfect. This is what it boils down to, Dan. You get 1 shot to win, and you move on, you lose, you don't strike, you lose, and go home. So,
powerful game. And a game that he has a lot of confidence in. A very aggressive player. Susan just hopes for 1 more strike.
A lot of room. And leaves the blowing 7 pin, and Don Johnson's going to move on, and he can't believe that that pin stood.
Well, it took him a while to get back to the championship round. Now he'll have to mop up and gear up for Mickey Spiezio, who won last week. Hricsina obviously disappointed, and rightfully so. He bowled about as well as a player could, but Don Johnson will advance. He'll take on Mickey Spiezio as Coco wins 223 to 218. And when we come back, we'll take a look at our top 24 finalists.
The new 1992 Mercury Grand Marquis. More room than Oldsmobile 98 or Buick Park Avenue. More power than Olds and Buick from a new, more powerful V8 engine. And more value. Grand Marquis is priced $1,700 less than Olds 98. $2,100 less than Park Avenue. New Grand Marquis. Proof that more of a good thing is a very good thing.
For a look at state capitol activities, watch Senate Digest with Senator Gib Armstrong. Senator Armstrong will tackle the tough issues that impact on the residents of the 13th Senatorial District. He will talk with people from state and local government, the administration, and residents of the Lancaster County area. To find out how state government is working for you, join Senator Gib Armstrong for Senate Digest.
We'll be back with our semifinal game featuring Don Johnson and last week's winner, Mickey Spiezio, when we return to St. Clair Bowl in O'Fallon, Illinois.
All across the USA, for as long as we've been around, our passengers are our neighbors. This country's our hometown. Every time we fly, every mile of sky, everything we do, USA, USA begins with you.
This summer, you can win one of 50,000 prizes worth over $1 million by finding one man.
I'm back, and this time I brought friends.
Haven't I seen you somewhere before?
You know, you look very familiar.
Nice suits here.
Find a Budman certificate inside packages of Budweiser, Bud Light, and Bud Dry Draft to win.
Nothing beats a Bud Man!
Enjoy the pay less difference, smashing rates, and faultless service.
I like to work hard. My play is my work, and my work is my play. So when I have to rent a car, I relax. Thank you, Payless.
I like what shampoo and conditioner do for my hair, but I love what Pert Plus does for me. Pert Plus is a unique shampoo and conditioner in one, so my hair turns out just the way I like it. Clean, conditioned, looking great, but without the bother of 2 bottles. Imagine, hair I like without the fuss. That's what Pert Plus does for me. If only everything in my life was so simple.
Wash and go with Pert Plus. Also in dandruff control.
It will seem like the shootout at the OK Corral. Top bowlers duel in the Tucson Open. The pins start flying Saturday afternoon at 2 Eastern, live on ESPN.
And the Pirates and Cincinnati Reds, Major League Baseball on ESPN coming up. And that's game number 1, the early game, obviously on Friday night, or Texas and Toronto perhaps. The Yankees and the Angels featured in game number 2, or Baltimore and the Oakland Athletics.
And that AL West is really tight with 5 teams in 2.5 games.
Yep, a little bit tight. I still got to believe Oakland will win in the end. Don Johnson, who just beat John Hricsina, opens with a light hit and a strike on lane 15. In one sense, is that Don Johnson is starting to remember yesteryear.
Well, you never forget how to win, Dennis. And Don Johnson knows how to win, but Mickey's proved he knows how to win, too.
Well, you're not kidding. 3 senior championships since coming out on the senior tour, including last week's Hammond Open. And Mickey opens with a strike very similar to Don Johnson's. A light hit. Was that a shot that they used throughout the week, Michael?
Well, the lane's been finishing at the back end, so the light hit is always a high percentage hit like this. Although when you're covering so many boards, we saw the John Hricsina didn't carry it to win this match, or he'd be bowling here now instead of Don Johnson.
What a week for Mickey, who opened up by successfully winning his first 12 matches. He went 2 rounds without a loss, as we've got the overhead view here from St. Clair Bowl.
And St. Clair has a viewing area from upstairs that's glassed in. It gives us this overhead view to see the ball pretty straight at the finish and leave the 7-pin. Kind of like a view that you get at the ABC tournament.
7-pin. All we've seen pretty much are 7s and 10s here this evening. Not too many 4-pins. We might see a few 6-pins when Adam Toney finally warms up. Our top seed, he's the only left-hander in the finals.
Although the left-handers bowl very well. Rich Holden made a run at the top 5 and fell just a little bit short. Mickey cross lane at the 7-pin. Smooth delivery, smooth release.
And obviously bowling with a lot of confidence.
Obviously. And so is this man right now.
Into the swing quickly, direct up and at him. Coco Johnson opens up with a double, and he'll get Mickey's attention very quickly here in the semifinal.
And since he switched to this other ball, he's done nothing but strike or 1 10-pin there in the 10th frame. Very good reaction with this ball.
Throughout his career on the PBA Tour, Mike, was he a player that made a lot of ball changes throughout tournaments?
He was always an innovative player one way or another. I can remember back in the mid-60s at Denver, he won a tournament there throwing the ball over the gutter to the half board. So he's never been afraid to try new things. As the pin comes up a little bit short and leaves the 10.
And a man that was behind many of those victories, a man that Don Johnson gets credit for probably more than half of his tournament victories, is Fred Borden. And Fred and I are very good friends. We've talked a lot about Don Johnson. And one of the things that Fred said was, Denny, the most amazing thing about Don was that he would try anything that I suggested, no matter how crazy it was. He would try it just to see what might happen. Very open-minded player.
Well, what that tells me about him is that he's not proud. In other words, it's not that, hey, I know better, I'm going to do what I think is right. It's that, hey, I'm listening to what you say, and I'm going to try and put it into practice and give it a chance to see if it'll work.
Meanwhile, 26 national titles later, he finds himself paired up against Mickey Spiezio. He leads by 9. on the right-hand lane. Nice shot, and Mickey kicks out the 10-pin.
Mickey real smooth tonight. You hardly hear that ball hitting the lane as he's letting it go. It's coming off his hands so clean and so pretty. The overhead shot. Mickey right around the second arrow, sliding in the middle of the lane, or very little slide. Very little break, minimal break. And the 6 barely gets the 10 out, but does it.
Boy, and if you watch how late Mickey gets his ball into the swing, they're exactly the opposite. Coco's in early, Mickey's in late.
Yeah, there's more than one way to get it done.
Uh-oh, we talked about it early on, and it finally happened, a pocket 7-10, and that is really a disaster.
Again, it looked like the 5-pin and the head pin went in front of the 7 here. Good shot. Ball skids a little bit long, comes in light. Watch the head pin and the 5. They both go in front of the 7. And the 6 just lays down and doesn't get the 10. The old double tap. Hard at one of them and hope for the best.
10-pin won't bounce out. And so Don Johnson, who leads by 21, stands up in the 4th and has to be taking things just one shot at a time. Ooh. Boy, did you see how quickly he cut that arm swing off? That one never even got to shoulder height coming through. I wonder if he was trying something a little different on that lane.
No, I don't think so. I think he just had to catch up with the feet. We see Don letting it go. Follow through in and out again. Just didn't get the lift with the fingers that he's looking for on that shot. But an easy spare, except when you're shooting a tip.
You know I'll never let you forget that.
Oh, I know.
And, of course, you were doing that just for a little humor, right? Or did you really dismiss it? Come on, be honest. It was for humor.
It was for humor.
Okay. I give you credit, Mike.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Okay.
I'm glad you give me something.
Now, if it would have been the 10-pin, I would have thought about it.
Pretty shot there. Got the lift with the fingers that he wanted that time.
Beautiful shot for Don Johnson, who strikes in the 5th. A 20-pin lead. Now Mickey Spiezio will try to go to work on lane 16.
Had no trouble with this lane so far. Needs a little more room. And leaves the 10-pin as a result. Right now, Mickey's got the pocket. He's got the 1-3 down. He just doesn't have the carry.
Was that the case throughout most of the week, Mike? You could get to the pocket on virtually every pair, but it was a question of knocking down the corner pins?
No, there was a lot of what they call lane play here, Dan. When you would move from pair to pair, you had to make big adjustments from one section of the house to another. Some pairs were tighter than others. You might move 5 or 6 boards going to the next pair, and you better make the adjustments pretty quick. Trouble.
Well, we saw Gus Marsala miss a 10 in the opening game. Now Mickey miscues in the 5th and the semifinal, and that one will cost him.
Well, you just don't win matches out here missing spares, especially against Hall of Famers like Don Johnson. Really, this wasn't even close, Dan. Look at this.
Down by 31. Still not out, but certainly a strike here is a must.
Well, half the game to go yet. He's got to get it going.
Needs to get something started in the 7-pin. Never even thought about falling down.
And that was his worst shot of the game there. His thumb never got out of the ball clean that time. The ball skidded a little bit further and barely finished to the pocket. Could have got the light hit, but didn't strike. Wasn't that smooth release, though, that he's had earlier.
Last week, he got a number of breaks and took advantage of all of them, and tonight it's kind of flipped around on him.
Well, the 7-10's a big shot there.
Yep. All right, a spare up for Spiezio, and he trails by 31. And as we head out, we'll take a look at some of the senior records that have been set this year.
Feeling lost when it comes to finding quality automotive service? Leb's Elders in Elizabethtown would like to help you find a way. Their trained technicians get the job done right, from total vehicle alignment, lube and oil change, to wheel balance, rotation, and more. From downtown Elizabethtown, take Route 230 to Cloverleaf Road, left on Mertz Drive. Off Route 283, Reams exit to Mertz Drive. Follow Mertz Drive past Messick Farm Equipment. You found the way to quality automotive service at Lebzelder's Field and Fleet Center in Elizabethtown.
It's the bottom of the ninth. Bases are loaded. And here's your chance to bring the Phillies home. Order Prism now and get 2 free Phillies tickets plus installation for as low as $4.95. Prism, exclusive coverage of the Phillies, Flyers, and Sixers. Plus smash hit movies like Presumed Innocent, Flatliners, and Die Hard 2. Order Prism now. Call 1-800-CABLE-91 to get 2 free Phillies tickets and installation for as low as $4.95. But hurry, this offer won't go into extra innings.
This shot is now in the 7th frame, as while we were away, Don Johnson spared in the 6th, comes up with a strike. Now in the 7th, and leads this match by 31 pins.
Well, Mickey, the best he can get if he strikes all the way out is 217 at this point. He better start doing it right now. He's got to put some pressure on Mr. Johnson.
Well, he struck in the 1st and the 3rd on lane 16. Needs a break and finally gets one as he rattles them around.
It'll be interesting to see if he makes any kind of adjustment on lane 15. He's been light every single time. It's been in the pocket, but he's been light. If he wants to try and, fudge a half a board to the right to try and get that ball up solid in the 1-3.
Out of Crest Hill, Illinois, this 55-year-old pro with 3 senior titles. He's really been a factor on the PBA Senior Tour.
Interesting, he's the oldest man on the telecast tonight, too.
Looking for a double. And almost a carbon copy shot of what he offered on 16. So Joan feeling a little bit of hope, although she's probably wondering what might happen to Coco.
And his lovely daughter, Kathy, looking on, too. A replay of Mickey's light strike. This is basically where he's been the whole game on this lane. A little lighter yet here and cut this strike. Oh, was that pretty?
Just getting more lined up. All these shots now are suddenly gone from light hits to flush hits for Don Johnson.
Well, that ball got off his hand real quick and got into what we call the dry area of the lane fast and hooked and just went straight to the 1-3, and there was no chance anything was going to stand.
Well, he knew when it left it wasn't quite what he wanted, and he ends up with the 2-4-5.
With a conversion, though, no matter what Mickey does, he can't shut him out. But he's got to make this 2-4-5 to keep the pressure applied to Spiezio, make Spiezio strike out. At the 2-4-5. And the chop. You know, he shot the 2-5 twice, but just having that 4-pin up there made the difference in this, because he's thinking about that. He can't hit it light, and he chops it. Suddenly we got a very close match.
If Mickey continues to strike.
Well, this has been his good lane the whole day. He's only down 16 pins, can cut it to 6 with one more strike. Ooh, he sent it out really wide. Look at it come back. Wow. He never threw that much hook in his life, did he?
Had to be a mistake, but it happened at the right time for Mickey, although if he gets past this match, he may open things up in the title game.
He may say, hey, let's try that again.
Yeah, I'll become a cranker here in the title match. I'll learn something from Hricsina.
Well, I'll tell you what, now he's in the position. He's been struggling the whole game, behind the whole game, but if he strikes here, he takes the lead for the first time in the match.
Plenty of speed. And now Spiezio is ahead.
And last week against Mr. Weber, he struck when he had it too. In fact, every 10th frame, if he needed a mark, he got it. If he struck, he did what he had to do to win. And he's continuing that this week. Light. Knocks it out of there. And he says, yes. Who says that I don't show any emotion?
Showed none last week.
for the win.
Wall shot again, so Spiezio comes from behind as he checks the scoreboard, and Don Johnson will remember the 9th frame as he heads to St. Louis for next week's event.
Well, it's not over yet. He needs 7 pins to lock him out. And I remember a bowler earlier this winter that needed 7.
Boy, the bucket was there momentarily. Don Johnson up to congratulate Mickey Spiezio, who shoots .215. So Mickey moves on to the title match. And he will take on our top seed, Adam Toney. And for Don Johnson, a 3rd-place finish. Very solid performance up until the 9th frame where he let Mickey back in, and that was costly.
Well, he'll remember it because the match was in his hand. He had it and let it go. He had it and let it go. You'd hate to lose a match missing a spare. Hate to lose anyway, but missing a spare, really, you remember those guys.
Don still enjoying the night, though. This will be a good one to build on. His first appearance in the championship round on the senior tour, and he'll learn from that. That's what he wanted in the 9th frame.
Well, he switched back to that ball that he started the match last game with. That's that brand new ball that doesn't bite. And probably he'll be thinking, well, I should have done that in the 9th frame.
All right, as we wrap up our semi-final game, Don Johnson strikes on the final shot, 215 to 203. Mickey Spiezio moves on to the title match here at St. Clair Bowl. And we'll be back with more bowling from O'Fallon, Illinois, after this.
To get rid of her gray, my wife can spend 40 minutes. But I discovered the 5-minute hair coloring.
The revolutionary discovery called Just for Men from the leader in men's hair coloring. Simply apply Just for Men and in 5 minutes shampoo out.
Gray is blended away. The look of my natural color is back in 5 minutes. That was me, and it won't fade or wash out.
My hair takes forever, but you look great in just 5 minutes.
The look of your natural color in just 5 minutes with Just for Men.
Burger King asks, introducing 3 delicious international chicken sandwiches, fixed, fresh, served hot. The Italian way, white meat chicken with mozzarella cheese covered in marinara sauce. The French way, chicken with ham, Swiss cheese, and mayonnaise. The American way, chicken, American cheese, lettuce, tomato, and mayonnaise. The international chicken sandwich for a limited time at Burger King. Your way, right away.
They were our boys of summer. The legends of the game. Players like Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, and Ty Cobb. Now presented in never-before-seen color home movies. Movies shot by fellow players and fans. Capture the glory of the golden age of baseball. When It Was a Game premieres July 8th, only on HBO.
A beautiful baseball reporter met a pitcher who started to court her. She was pleased with his pitch till he started to twitch from an itch in his athletic supporter.
Croax kills jock itch fungus.
I scream, you scream. We all scream for ice cream. We all scream for ice cream. Thank you. Hershey's chocolate syrup.
Championship Frame is brought to you by Midas for mufflers, brakes, and shocks. Nobody beats Midas. Nobody. And let's pick up the action in game number 1 with John Hricsina in the 7th frame.
Well, he's working on a double at this point, 10. Gus Marsala had missed a 10-pin. John took advantage of it, finished the game with 8 strikes in a row. This was just one of them. Tremendous reaction that he had. All 10 pins going in the pit. Cruised on to what he bowled 258 and easily defeated Gus Marsala 258 to 203.
And then it was on to game number 2, and this time it wasn't Hricsina but Don Johnson who would end up the winner. but we'll pick up the action with Hricsina again in the 10th frame.
Well, this is the second ball in the 10th, and it's strike, you move on, don't strike, and you head to Franklin, Pennsylvania. And made a tremendous shot. Watch this 5-pin here. As the ball hits the 5 home, we don't get to see it. Like a rocket goes by the 7, just too fast. John's reaction, he knew he threw it well, and the disappointment is he chance to win another title, goes by the board again, loses 223 to 218, and Don Johnson moved on to the semifinal match.
And, of course, his opponent there was Mickey Spiezio, and this was clutch bowling again for Mickey in the 10th.
Well, Mickey finishing with a flurry of strikes. This was for the lockout shot. Comes in light, and he got this kind of hit all game long. His reaction? Well, he really jumped up there. That's a Toyota jump, wasn't it there?
Maybe a miniature Toyota. 215 to 203 as Spiezio advances into the championship game against Adam Toney, our top seed. And, of course, coming up on Saturday afternoon, live from Golden Pin Lanes in Tucson, Arizona, it'll be the championship round finals of the $125,000 Tucson Open beginning at 2 p.m. Eastern Time and, of course, running till 4. And next Thursday night, the AMF Cobra PBA Senior Classic from Weber's St. Charles Lanes, live Thursday night, July 18th, 7:30, the starting time Eastern, and that'll be a terrific tournament.
And that's just about an hour away from here, Dennis.
All right. Spiezio and Adam Toney will bowl for the title here at St. Clair Bowl when we come back.
This minivan goes shopping, gets the kids to school, carries camping gear. When I need brakes, I can't wait for my dealer to fix them.
Then come to Midas.
Hey, this is a minivan.
Hey, this is Midas. Cars, trucks, vans, and minivans. We're the brake experts. We do the job right with a written estimate up front, Midas-trained experts, and a great guarantee.
What about price?
You get a good price and a lot of value. But brakes done right, nobody beats Midas. Nobody.
Hey, thanks, man. Stay cool.
7-Up, the cool spot.
If it happens in baseball, you'll see it on ESPN.
There he goes. He leaps. He makes the catch.
See Tuesday night doubleheaders, Wednesday night excitement, Friday night twin bills, and exclusive Sunday night action. Ruben Sierra leads the Texas Rangers stampede through the AL West. Joe Carter pilots the high-flying first-place Blue Jays. The Rangers beat the Blue Jays live at 8 Eastern on ESPN Sunday Night Baseball.
Welcome back to O'Fallon, Illinois, where we have just 2 players left shooting for the title. And starting the match will be Mickey Spiezio trying to win back-to-back PBA senior titles.
And for the second consecutive week, he's in the championship game. So, got to say that Mickey, the hottest bowler on the senior tour right now.
I would concur with that. Boy, threw some great shots against Don Johnson down the stretch. Messenger comes over, a little tilt, but the 10-pin will stand.
Again, a very smooth shot. He got out of that ball just clean, but it seems like when he doesn't hit that light hit, he doesn't strike.
Do you think that perhaps his approach was to go with a little shinier ball, set it down, and like last week he tried to maybe hook the ball or delay a little more with a little more loft? I think he's playing the lanes.
Well, it just shows his versatility and how he can adjust with that basically straight shot that he has.
Reels in the 10th. And now, first good look at Adam Toney, who has had some problems with the left knee.
With the left knee ligament, the anterior cruciate is strained and inflamed and sore.
Leans in and strikes on the opening shot.
And basically, since match play started, that's what he's been doing quite frequently. Adam Toney kind of rocks like Mickey does, too. The right foot out in front of the left there. Tries to get comfortable to start. Picks that right foot up. Short step there. Head pretty steady. Shoulder high backswing. Good loft. A little off balance at the line on that shot. Off balance there, too. Didn't throw that well at all.
Rolled over the thumb hole and never did get to the head pin.
He wanted that double so bad that he just never got, that span got an inch shorter. And I know the feeling well, but sure. You got to loosen up, relax, get the ball off your hand clean.
You mentioned the rocking back. Of course, Mickey does that. Nothing wrong with that. It's just a question of how much you do rock back. A lot of players, if you look at Amleto Monticelli, kind of starts his motion that way.
Well, it's a trigger mechanism for a number of different players. Not necessarily recommended because it's hard to do it the same way every time, but these guys bowl enough that they can. At the spare, trouble, and not a good way to start.
After striking in the first and open in the second, Mickey Spiezio jumps out to a quick 12-pin lead, and he's got to like that.
Well, he came back, Polo Lazarus in the last game, come back from way behind and seemingly dead. His opponent opened, and he took advantage last time. He probably will now, too.
Dices up the rack on lane 16. Pretty shot. And there's Phil Cameron, the president of St. Clair Bowl. These folks really have done an outstanding job in hosting their first ever PBA Seniors event. Creative bunch.
Very progressive people. They put automatic scorers in here. They've remodeled this place. Used to be an ice skating rink here. And turned the atmosphere of this place around. Remodeled the outside. It looks nice. And class people here.
50 lanes. They've done a beautiful job. Pros have really enjoyed the tournament here this week. As we're beginning to find out what might happen here in the latter stages of this event. Boy, it always so interesting. It always comes down to just that one game, maybe just one shot. And, oh, there we go. An interesting mural that's on one side of the bowling center here with Rumpelstiltskin.
Is that Rumpelstiltskin or is that Rip Van Winkle?
It can't be. It's got to be Rip Van Winkle.
Yeah.
I was testing you there.
Oh. I figured somebody was asleep.
You know, as the story goes, he slept for 20 years, but was awakened when they were bowling. The Gnomes were bowling, what, 9-pin?
Trouble. Another 10-pin he missed. So right now, this match is here. You take it. No, I don't want it. Now, I don't know the story of Rip Van Winkle.
Sure, that's what happened. The Gnomes were bowling 9-pin, and that's how Thunder originated. See, that's Mike Durbin missing the 5-pin. See the 9 pins? Now, and then the crash of the Thunder awoke him after 20 years.
Oh, I see.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Very unique.
On the Brooklyn. Right now, it's not championship caliber bowling.
Mickey Spiezio over to either change balls. Yeah, he's pulling another ball on a spare ball.
That's exactly right.
Oh, boy, Mickey probably wishes he had that before he shot the 10-pin, but you're right. This match is all even, and Mickey's probably thinking at this point, I know Adam is really struggling. If I throw any kind of a game, I got a chance to win.
2 in a row.
Sure.
And the 4th of my career right here.
Well, you'd have to wonder, too, in talking to Adam, he's had problems with that knee. He came out and loosened up a little bit, but waiting in the wings for 70 or 80 minutes couldn't have helped, although you do get the opportunity to throw practice balls.
Well, the only thing that does help is he only has to bowl one game. Right now, I'm just curious at his choice of equipment right here. The lanes are hooking so much, and he's got a ball that's pretty dull and is really biting the lane. I just don't know how he can get the ball into the 1-2 pocket on a steady diet.
A little more speed, a little more loft. That one climbs up through the nose. You're right, Michael. That's a pretty accurate assessment. He's fighting the lane, no question, with his equipment.
You know, and we watched Don Johnson in the middle of the last game or the game before switch balls and make the proper adjustment. He's got a lot more experience than Adam Toney. Adam Toney's best finish ever, you know, I think is 13th at Waukegan at one time. So he's not been here before.
Waukegan back in 1969. Is that the year Les Sykes won?
Well, I don't know, but he won 2 of them there. I think it was 69.
I'm going to say it might have been.
Yeah, he beat Billy Hardwick. I remember that.
Light hit.
Boy, he gets a lot of strikes like that. His son-in-law, I was sitting with him last night, Rowdy Morrow, and he said, boy, he gets a lot of strikes like that. He got a little envy in his voice there.
Rowdy's trying to figure out how he could carry more of those wall shots. Well, there's no question. If you get those going, it's not really a bad shot.
Oh, no, it's a high percentage
There you
strike,
go.
as we've seen here. I mean, he struck far more often that way than he has when he's been up half pocket.
No, the point I was making is when you carry a wall shot, you haven't necessarily thrown a bad shot.
Oh, I don't think so.
No.
No, that was my bread and butter. Smooth. And the 258 smooth, though.
Boy, he was looking for the double big time there.
He thought the ball would finish. He got it out in that dry area. But as the bowlers bowl, the ball acts as a transport and carries oil down the lanes, and they get tighter and a little bit tighter. And that could be happening right here. Because the follow-through was good, but you see how late it went into a roll? He's going to need to move a little bit more to the right on this left lane. Tough spare here, too. From the left. And the same thing Don Johnson did. So right now, Adam Toney couldn't ask for a better scenario.
He really hasn't bowled very well, and yet he's
10 pins in front.
Ahead in the match. He's got to be the most surprised player in the building. Now let's see if he can take advantage or seize a little control here in the title game.
Denny, he's got to move further to the right. There is oil in the middle of the lane, and he's got to get that ball into that oil, or he's just, as much as Mickey has struggled, Mickey is still going to bail this game out.
I have to believe you might be right there.
At the 247 with a harder ball, makes the spare.
I don't know why I'm going to say this, but he almost should throw the spare ball for the strike ball.
I was thinking that, too. I wonder if that's occurred to him at all.
I mean, at least he's going to hit the pocket. Ball will not overreact. Now, let's see if he does make the adjustment and keep moving to the right, as you said before.
Well, I saw him adjust his foot there, so maybe he moved a board or two to the right. He has to do that. Get that ball. There is oil in the middle of the lane. See, he's trying to do it loft and speed and throw harder, and the ball just is weak when it hits the pins.
Speaking of that rollout shot that we were talking about a little earlier on in the telecast.
Right. Game goes by so fast, though, Dan. I mean, a million things are going through your mind. Should I try this or should I'm still ahead? I'm still making spares. Creates a little reaction from the crowd here.
Never a doubt. 6-pin lead for Adam Toney.
Well, Mickey, what do you have? He had 76 or 77 in the fifth frame the last game, and it was about this time that he got his kick start and got going.
Shot 215 and defeated Don Johnson. Plenty of room. Nice swing shot there, and the 6-pin just did a number on the 10. And there's Rowdy Morrow offering support from the sideline.
As I'm looking at the two bowlers, I'm trying to determine, as I'm sure Rowdy is, just from their body English, who feels the most comfortable about it. It's hard to tell. Mickey is so stoic that it's hard to read what's going on inside of him.
Well, he's going to go out and just go about his business and execute and not worry about what else is happening around him. I think that's one of the reasons why he's been successful in the championship round. He's now 13-4. In the television finals and match play, and comes up with a key double that may just put the heavy pressure on Adam Toney.
Yeah. Wife and daughter looking on, applauding. Getting to be a weekly habit for them.
They just soon head down the street to Weber's place in St. Charles next week and watch too. Needs it badly. And a wall shot for Toney, who is hopefully going to rise to the occasion, or if not, this title will slip away.
Well, he's trying to do it with loft and speed, and we'll see if it works. Got the ball into the 1-2 pocket in the 6th frame. Got the light hit here in the 7th. See what happens in the 8th.
Ever get to a point, Mike, where you say to yourself, this is the shot of the week. If I strike here, I've still got a chance?
Oh, absolutely. That was when I lost it, my backswing.
Really needs to have it badly, and he comes up with it. Oh, what a terrific shot. You better watch out if he gets down on that left knee. He may have some problems.
He was down on the right one, wasn't he? See how far he's getting this ball out of the lane. Rocks it back here, and he's doing it just with muscle and force and strength. Watch how far out of the lane. See, and the trouble with that is, out of his shot, Mickey, on the other hand, is putting it down smooth. And 2-5-8 again. He's missed that spare once already this game.
That has to play on your mental approach.
And he's falling further behind. He's got to make this, or he could be out of the match if he doesn't make this. Joan knows that. He's shooting it from the left again. Now the ball hooks on this side of the lane.
Oh, and it did in a hurry. Oh, my. Whiffed everything to the left.
I watched Dave Sutar earlier in the week do the exact same thing when he barely nicked the 4-pin on the left, shooting it from the left like that.
You read that one all the way.
Well, I didn't know how much it was going to hook. I just knew it was going to hook. The thing now is the best he can get is 177 if he strikes out. He could have 2, 4, 8 strikes in this game for 177.
Jimmy Schroeder, our statistician, has had to use a little bit of everything here in the title match. He's seen missed spares, doubles. Mickey comes back with a solid strike in tonight.
Still alive, but barely. Shoots it from the left side of the lane. The reason is to try and cut down the possibility of a chop, but there's no chop here. See, he gets totally fooled here. Didn't shoot that in practice, or he'd have known that the ball was going to do that. They used the soft 7. It's okay. He's saying right now, all I got to do is pick this up and mark in the 10th frame, and I got my first title. But he's trying to throw the ball so hard here with so much loft, and it could be the knee is giving way on him here, that he is having a tough time maintaining his balance and staying behind the foul line. Look at how close he came to that foul line. Wow. He was close.
That was a courageous shot, though. That was a shot that could have won him the tournament. Hang on, and it does. Adam Toney trying to come from behind and wrestle away his first PBA senior title.
In any kind of spare or strike, and he's going to do just that.
Very much aware of the score as he gazes over at the board. Interesting evening. We've seen some real swings from one side to the other.
9 pins on this first ball, and he's a definite winner.
Boy, after Mickey beat Don Johnson from behind, I had to figure he would be the favorite here in the title match.
Well, you don't win many matches missing 3 spares. No. Trouble. 1, 3, 8. He barely kept that on the lane. If he misses this, if he would get 9 out, he would finish with 177. Mickey could strike out in time. And we could have a roll-off for the second week in a row. Look at how close this comes to the channel. You don't think his heart wasn't pounding a little bit? Oh, he just...
No, I didn't do that, did I? Yes, I did. Whew. Try and stay calm and make the shot, and he does. Just Adam's going to remember that 10th frame, isn't he?
Well, that's enough right now. He doesn't need to keep this one on the lane. He's got 178 without showing up. So
I'm glad he doesn't have to, because he nearly didn't on that shot in the 10th. Oh, well, at least he made it interesting for us. Although Mickey was thinking, oh. We got to recalculate the scoring here, and 9 gives him 187. We were 10 pins off, and so now if Mickey strikes out, we have a tie. Boy, count so critical there. Strike and he's a winner.
Pretty smooth.
But the 10-pin wouldn't fall. Good shot. Adam breathes a sigh of relief. And he wins his first PBA senior title. And he did it the hard way.
The very hard way. Because we had an error in our scoring, so we were completely off in calculating what he needed.
There's the spare ball that Mickey wished he'd have used a little bit earlier on in the title match. Well, Mickey, oh so close to winning 2 in a row out here. And it's hard enough to win 1, let alone back-to-back.
That's as fast as he's ever thrown a shot right there.
Now I see why he takes a little more time. All kidding aside, good performance by both pros, and the final 187 to 166. Not a work of art by any stretch of the imagination, but Adam Toney will remember this one for a long, long time because he ends up with his first PBA senior title. We'll be back to talk with our newest champion after this.
Walt Disney Pictures brings you 101 thrills, 101 spills, 101 ways to have a good time with 101 Dalmatians.
Oh, that's marvelous.
One of Disney's all-time, all-fun animated hits is headed your way. Only at a theater near you. Don't miss Walt Disney's classic, 101 Dalmatians.
It'll be a sensation.
Rated G starts tomorrow at a theater near you.
Burger King introduces 3 delicious international chicken sandwiches. The Italian way, the French way, the American way. The international chicken sandwich for a limited time at Burger King. Your way, right away.
Another? One more. How about another?
Fill up.
Perfect, thanks.
Solo cups and plates, because life should be a party.
The championship round finals of the $55,000 St. Clair PBA Senior Open have been brought to you by U.S. Air. Every time we fly, everywhere we go, everything we do, U.S. Air begins with you. And by HBO, simply the best. All right, we've got our newest champion, Adam Toney. And it wasn't easy out there, was it?
It certainly wasn't. It was a struggle tonight.
Now let's replay the shot that made the difference for you here this evening, that gave you your first PBA senior title. You had to pick up a tough spare.
Certainly did. That was tough.
Let me ask you one question. What went through your mind when you almost threw it in the channel on the first shot?
I remember what Tommy Tuttle's been telling me for the last couple of weeks. Keep it left. I almost put it too far left.
Here's the reaction to the winning spare attempt. And when we come back, well, maybe we'll get Tommy Tuttle up here, too, and ask him about that last shot. We'll be back to chat with our newest champion right after this.
You call Pizza Hut?
Yep.
Good thing they deliver.
Yep.
Though if Pizza Hut didn't deliver, I guess we could call another place.
What other place?
Why are people changing to Pizza Hut delivery? Because now they can get America's favorite pan pizza loaded with toppings and 2 layers of cheese delivered right to their door.
Time for a game? No thanks. Maybe some people just don't like Domino's anymore.
Guess not.
Pizza Hut delivery, and it is great.
How do I know where to get my brakes done right?
Come to Midas. You get a lot of value for the price. and you get something else. Peace of mind. Knowing you get a thorough inspection by Midas-trained experts and a written estimate up front. Knowing every brake shoe and pad is guaranteed for as long as you own your car. And knowing the job will be done right. That's why more people come to us for brakes, knowing that nobody beats Midas. Nobody.
And coming up on Saturday afternoon on ESPN, the live championship round finals of the $125,000 Tucson Open from Golden Pin Lanes in Tucson, Arizona. Airtime 2 o'clock Eastern Time. And also on Thursday evening, the finals of the AMF Cobra PBA Senior Classic from, that's right, Dick Weber's St. Charles Lanes, live next Thursday night, July 18th, starting at 7:30 Eastern Time. Be there, or Mr. Weber will have some words for you. Adam Toney, our newest champion, and Bill Magella, the tournament director here, has not only a beautiful trophy, but a check to present to you.
Adam, on behalf of the management here at St. Clair Bowl, I'd like to thank you for a terrific performance all week. You took the lead, never let anybody take it away from you. I'd like to give you this beautiful trophy and, more important, this check for $5,000. Thank you very much. You're a great champion.
Thank you, Bill. As I have told you all week, your staff, all your personnel, the fans here in, is it O'Fallon and Bellevue both, as someone said? Anyway, Southern Illinois, it's been the greatest week of my life, and I mean that sincerely. I've told them all week. I've had a lot of help this week, even out in the community, finding motel rooms. Everyone's been so nice. Again, it's been a great week.
All right. I know for you, sure, a round of applause. For you, it's been a difficult week because you've had all sorts of problems with the left knee. You had some cortisone shots, and how's it feel right now?
A little weak. I can't lie to my own self about my health.
Michael, any questions?
Well, Adam, I wanted to know, as you were bowling that game, you were struggling so much trying to get the ball into the 1-3 pocket. Did it ever occur to you to maybe try a harder surface ball, or were you just bound to determine you were going to get through with that ball?
That's the ball that I started with, and I was determined I was going to finish it with it.
Okay. One other question here. As you threw that first ball in the 10th frame and left the 1-3-9, you were faced with making a very difficult spare one. I'm sure you don't shoot very often. Did you have a particular strategy? What went through your mind to try and convert that spare?
Throw it firm. Throw it to pocket and throw it firm.
I think he's a man of few words, Michael.
No, I'm not.
I know. I'm going to give you a chance to say hello to everybody in West Virginia.
I just want to say hello to the people in Oak Hill and Beckley, West Virginia, and also all the people in West Virginia. I have to include all of them. They put up special screens in my hometown tonight, the large screens at the Three Gables restaurant. Everyone's invited to come out and watch the show, and they had a tremendous crowd there, I'm sure.
Uh-huh. Well, let's bring in Dick Weber. Of course, we're going to have a tournament at his place next week in St. Charles. But, Dick, that was kind of a thrilling finish. Mickey had a chance to come back and get him, at least tie him.
Well, it certainly was after watching Adam struggle here for a while, and the way Mickey come in the clutch in the game against Don Johnson, I thought he had the thing wrapped up pretty much his way. But Adam, you threw that ball in the 10th frame, and I was remarking to Bruce Pluckon, back in the 40s and 50s, we used to miss the head pin on purpose for a safety shot. And that's exactly what it looked like. But we don't throw safety shots anymore.
Well, thanks. I'm glad you told me that.
He's going to use that one the next time around. Dick, we've got less than a minute. I know they've really enjoyed the PBA Senior Pros here this week, and of course you'll have all the top stars in your neck of the woods next week.
Well, we certainly are looking forward to all the stars coming, and we're looking forward to the second AMF tournament coming to Weber St. Charles Lanes. But we're proud of Adam, and I'm glad he's going to make our tournament, and congratulations.
I'll be there.
The only other question I have is, did you see Mike Durbin miss the 5-pin in his tip?
I've seen Mike Durbin miss a lot of 5-pins in my life.
And with that final comment, we'll say goodbye from O'Fallon, Illinois. A big night for Adam Toney, who wins his first PBA Seniors Championship. The next stop on the PBA Summer Tour will be down at Golden Pin Lanes, located in sunny Tucson, Arizona, with the championship round finals of the $125,000 Tucson Open beginning at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, Saturday, July 13th. And coming up next on ESPN, it's live top-ranked boxing from Municipal Baseball Park in Gardnerville, Nevada. The featured bout this evening, a pair of